Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the AWFL-y proudly presents to you...
What? What did you say? Hold on. What? No. What? Stop. What? Hold on. What did you just say? No. I'm sorry. That's incorrect. The AWFL-y does not... What is this logo? Get that crap out of here. I don't want to see this. Hold on. Give me this. Give me that. Hold up. I get this. I got it. Don't worry about it. I'll fix it as per usual. Oh, fuck's Rich. Son of a bitch. Alright. Put that up. Yeah. That's much better.
Welcome, gentlemen, to the first ever Awfully Good podcast. I'm your Saints guy, Rich, here with my co-host, Mike.
Is that it? Mike? Nobody knows who that is. If you're going to introduce me, you should do it with a grand introduction. Like, ladies and gentlemen, formerly known as Heel Green Ranger. You know him as HGR. He's also referred to sometimes as the guy who talks too much. And he is here to give his opinions about everything.
Okay, anyway, our goal is to do a few of these throughout the season for the entire cycle of the game. Right now, our plan is to do a season preview that you're hearing right now, or today, and then maybe quarterly, maybe every third of the season, somewhere around there, at least one in the middle of the season, if not 2 to 3, along with a playoff preview in week 17. Maybe a free agent preview, a mock draft, and then back to the season preview for the next season. That's the plan right now, at least. We'll see how it's going to pan out. Some seasons there may be more, some there may be less. You know, as big trades happen, we might decide to throw together a quick show and talk about a big trade or a big loss or, you know, maybe a big game somewhere in there. Week 15 comes along and you never know. It could be a game that decides a division. It could be for the first round bye. So we're going to kind of play it by ear there. So, but as for today, it's going to be, all we're going to do today is talk about the divisions and break them down for you. Me and Mike each took one division, or each took 4 divisions in each conference, and we're going to kind of break it down and give our predictions on what we think is going to happen in the first season of the cycle. So I've hosted a few of these shows in my old league, and these things tend to drag on if we aren't too careful. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into it so I don't start to ramble on more than I have already. So first up, Mike, who you have as your first division here?
First off, I'm going to interrupt you there because I'm going to have to talk to my agent about this because you just mentioned a lot of shows, and that sounds like a lot of work, and I don't think I'm contractually obulated words. I can't do them right now. I'm so upset. So I'm just going to talk about the AFC North, okay?
Sounds
the
good.
AFC North, by the way, is one of my favorite divisions. Obviously, everybody knows why. Because I ruled it with an iron fist of shit, 7 and 9 seasons, because everybody sucked. But now it's a little bit better. There's new faces, there's a J faces, there's new talent in the division, there's new players in the division. As I look at it now, everybody's going to look at the top team overall-wise, the Pittsburgh Steelers, owned by Arlen, who's coming back for the cycle. Hopefully he stays the whole time and doesn't leave us again, because I like having him around. Then you go down, after him, I've got Be More Irish. I don't think anybody needs to be more Irish, but that's just my opinion. He's got Lamar Jackson there in Baltimore. That's going to be an interesting thing to watch. I don't know how well it's going to go. I don't know how many seasons he's actually going to finish. And then there's my boy Jay Face in the dog pound with Baker touchdown maker. And that's all I really need to say. I think everybody knows how well that's going to go. Probably terribly. Finishing off with a man they call Cheese. It's a great name. Doesn't really fit the AFC North. It's more of an AFC West kind of name. But he's stuck. I'm using the word stuck here. on the Cincinnati Bengals, which in my opinion might be one of the worst teams in the game to start out. But that's basically kind of the way I have it going, starting with the Steelers and Baltimore fighting for the first season. Maybe somebody could surprise. Maybe somebody's got a 5'8" wide receiver, and they could, take down B More and get that second place. But that's how I see the AFC North going.
See, I can agree with the Steelers at the top. I think the Browns could contend right with the Ravens right there because the team in Madden should progress pretty quickly. You have a lot of talent on that Browns team. I mean, you would know, being that it's your team, but for sure the Bengals at the bottom. There's no way. That team's just kind of bad right now. I don't want to talk too much crap about a team that I haven't really researched much on, but I know the Bengals haven't been too good in the past, and I don't know. The Steelers are just so stacked. It should be a pretty easy season for Arlen.
I don't know if it's going to be easy. Going forward, season 1, he's set. He's going to have some things to work on as it relates to quarterback. I don't think Mason Rudolph's going to develop that much. And then he's got to figure out what he's doing with Le'Veon Bell.
Well, that's
cycle talk.
That's in the future. We're talking about this, for one season, this season specifically, it should be okay with the Steelers as stacked as they are. I agree with what you're saying about the future of it. Because after this season, things are going to get kind of shady. With Le'Veon Bell's going to need a contract. Big Ben's kind of old. And Brown isn't that young, is he? Antonio Brown?
I think he's almost 30.
Yeah, he's got to be up there. So they're going to have some work to do. Okay, so we're going to go to the next division here. I have the AFC South. I don't really know where to start with this one because I don't know much about two of the users, Bobby Swagson and King Bernard. Swagson's the Colts and Bernard's the Titans. I don't know much about either one, but I do know the Colts roster is pretty rough outside of Andrew Luck. I know they got some new offensive linemen in the draft or something, but that's not going to cause too many waves in season 1. So at the bottom of that division, I have the Colts finishing there, not because of Bobby Swagson, because like I said, I don't know much about him, but because the Colts roster is just it's so rough. Finishing third, I'm going to go with the Titans there. Again, I don't know much about King Bernard, but the Titans roster, it is a good roster, but I don't think it's as good as the Jaguars, and RFF is a very good user, so I think the Texans, with a good roster that they have, is a notch above where the Titans would be. For the first and second place in that division, it's kind of tough because I have a lot of experience with King of Wakanda, at least one full Madden cycle with him in my league. Played him twice a season. He was the Colts, I was the Texans in that league. So he's a very good user. I think it's going to take him a little while before he really starts to hit his stride, whereas I think RFS is going to come out swinging from day one. So I think in the first half of the season, RFS is going to get a slight, I'm not going to say, too many game advantage, but even a 1 game advantage in that first half of the season, I think is going to be enough to carry him to winning the division with Wakanda right on his heels. That's about where I'm in for the AFC South.
I see what you're saying there. I see how it's going to take Wakanda some time to learn the game, because it's not about learning football for some people. It's about learning game mechanics. I'm not saying anybody specifically, but they're probably, not even in the league anymore. But maybe they used to be in the AFC South too. Who knows? But I think the Jags defense is one of those defenses in Madden that's going to carry anybody as far as they want to go. I think the Texans defense could be there, but I just have more faith in the Jags Madden defense and even in the Jags offense a little bit running the ball. Because I'm going to point this out, the Houston Texans offensive line is terrible. And if you don't believe me, go ask RFF, because he will tell you about it every single day that you ever bring up how bad your offensive line is.
That's true. They have a bad offensive line, but RFF's going to sling that ball around with Watson and Hopkins back there, or out wide. Wakanda's defense, you are right about the Jaguars' defense. It's going to be disgusting, and it's going to carry him many games. It's going to carry him through. But I will also point out that I don't know if Wakanda was just not really paying much attention at the end of last cycle, but he was kind of struggling in this league. In my league, he did really well. He was a playoff contender, if not if not in the playoffs every season, but he seemed to struggle here against some of these guys. So I think that's going to work in RFF's favor. He has more what's the word I'm looking for? Just I guess more experience with the guys in the league than Wakanda does. But later on in the cycle, I see Wakanda taking over that division and winning it. Maybe season 3, maybe season 5. We'll see down the line.
Moving from the South, we will travel north to another division that probably misses me. The NFC North is filled with a bunch of good teams. It's not great teams, but they're good teams. And then there's one really solid team at the top, headed by my boy, who I've never beaten, I will admit that, Big K in Minnesota. Solid defense, solid run game, good wide receivers, and Kirk Cousins. Just below him, very trepidatiously, I have the Chicago Bears with Isaiah and the titty kisser, Mitchell Trubisky, who's not rated very well, and that's why I think it's going to be a problem for him this season. He has Cohen in the backfield for swing passes, and that's great. He's got Roquan Smith at linebacker to run around in a circle. We'll see how well that works out for him, assuming he's not just on the defensive line all the time. Below him, I have Husker, and while he has Aaron Rodgers, that's literally all he has. That defense is bad. He's got young corners now, so maybe down the line it'll be better, but right now it's still bad. New to the division is the Prudent, who I'm referring to from now on as Prudy because it's funny to me, on the Detroit Lions, which I can attest to is a very solid Madden team. You have Matthew Stafford, as I like to call him, who with his high throw power, even with regression, will be fine probably for the whole cycle. Good wide receivers, new running back that maybe could get 100 yards, that if possible, who knows. Good pieces on defense there. I don't know him well as a user. Hopefully he can surprise people and build up the Detroit Lions to that 7-9 plateau that they know so well. But for season 1, I have Big K taking the division in the North.
I can't disagree with any of that, really. The Vikings, I think everyone would agree that they're by far the best team in that division. They're one of the best teams in the entire NFC and the game. I don't know how Kirk Cousins is going to work out on that roster, but I liked Kirk Cousins in past Maddens. I imagine he's going to be fairly decent in this one. And Vikings do have Dalvin Cook. I know running's kind of weird right now, but I think that's going to be fixed. And they should have a good running game to go with that defense. So as long as he's not turning the ball over with that Vikings defense and you're forcing turnovers, the Vikings are going to win a lot of games. And I do like the Bears and their user, Isaiah. I think he's a very good user, but I think what you just said, Mike, about Trubisky not being very highly rated, I think that's going to hurt him in season 1. So we could see him draft a quarterback again. Like last year he ended up cutting Trubisky or letting him walk, and I picked him up, and I had a lot of success with him. But I can definitely see, that could possibly happen again. I don't know if he got a bump in his development or not, but I don't know. He's going to need a good quarterback because I know he likes to throw the ball a lot. So we'll see one there. So up next is the NFC West. I'm only really familiar with one of the users here because we played in Madden 16 or 17 and 18. Weapon X, I played him I think last season, one game. Very, very solid user. The 49ers guy joined Hackenor, joined my league last year, and I don't believe he played one game. I think he joined and didn't even respond. So good to see him in a league and playing games, I guess. Cardinals with Sir Felger. I know, or Felgar. I don't remember much about him. I know the name, don't know much about the play style, but so don't know much. I know Saran, Roberto, whatever Mike wants to call him these days. He likes to run the ball a lot. Well, at least he's very good at running the ball. I don't know if he likes doing it or not, but he does it well. Not the strongest passer, and that's kind of where the Seahawks' strength lies right now. It's going to be in the passing game. So if Saran gets his his passing game going and kind of takes a step forward and maybe goes up a tier there, you could see him win a lot of games. But the offensive line is so bad right now in Seattle, and I don't know if they have a good running back or not. I can't think off the top of my head.
They drafted one.
So even if he does...
Penny, I believe.
Who was he?
Rashad Penny? Is that a name that sounds right?
Maybe. But even if he does have a new running back, he won't be really viable till mid to late season, if not next season, if he's even that good. So I don't have the Seahawks winning the division this year. I'm going to go with the Rams in season 1. Again, there's going to be a couple of reasons here, mostly the team. A lot of my picks are going to go because in season 1, I feel like guys are going to be learning the game and learning what works and what doesn't work. And while they're learning that, their teams are going to carry them to wins and losses. And the Rams, we all know, is absolutely stacked at every direction you look. They have a good quarterback. Their wide receivers with Brandon Cooks and Cooper Kupp. A lot of speed right there with Brandon Cooks. I believe they have a decent tight end. I just can't think of who it is. You add in Todd Gurley, who's a dual threat. You know, he can do everything. He can catch the ball. He can run between the tackles, run outside the tackles. He's going to be a ridiculous weapon for that team, which fits with Weapon X. Then you look at the defensive side of the ball, and you have Aqib Talib, you have Marcus Peters, you have Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh. It's just stacked. Everywhere you look, it's stacked. So I don't see him not winning the division simply because of his team. Then you add in the fact that he's a solid user. I think he should win this division. Maybe not run away with it, but I would say by week 11, 12, 13 in there, you're going to start to see him separate, and he should have the division kind of locked up by week 15. Again, don't know much about the 49ers guy because I didn't play any games in my league. But you got Jimmy G. I could see where he might have to move on from Jimmy G early on, so I don't know how much he's going to actually try to develop with Garoppolo, because Garoppolo should be about 26, 27 by now after being in the league for a few years, and he won't progress anymore. So unless he's planning on using Garoppolo the entire time, I don't know how that's going to work out for him. And the Cardinals, the last team here I'm going to talk about, they did lose Tyrann Mathieu, Honey Badger, who was a pretty highly rated safety and very versatile because Mathieu was able to play safety and you can move him to cornerback when you needed to. Patrick Peterson should be really good season 1, at least for season 1. I think he's going to start to drop off depending on how regression works this year. You got Josh Rosen, the young quarterback. I imagine he's going to start over Bradford. Unless he's going to win, he's going for it all season 1 and decides to start Bradford. I would start Rosen, start that development early because we only get 7 seasons of this. So if he does start Rosen, I think you're going to see it's going to take another one. It's going to take a good 4 to 8 weeks before you start to see Rosen develop and kind of start to blossom a little bit. You have any issues with that, Mike?
No, I see. For the same reason that I think the Jags are going to win the AFC South, the Rams are going to, I don't want to say run away with the NFC West, but I'm looking at a lot of teams that probably don't have that great of offensive lines, and I'm looking at Ndamukong Suh and Aaron Donald, and
right.
They're going to eat. They ain't going to eat W's because nobody wants to do that.
Right, especially when you're looking at the Seahawks offensive line compared to that Rams, because that's his real threat right now, I believe, is the Seahawks. And the Seahawks' atrocious offensive line against the Rams' ridiculous defensive line, it's going to have Russell Wilson run around for his life just like he does in real life.
See, I think the actual threat, first off, I'm pretty sure Roberto Saran is going to be in Tank City season 1, so he should probably trade me Earl Thomas right now. It's okay. I'll give you a good deal. But I'm going with, for the one that's going to put up a fight is going to be Sir Felgar in Arizona, because he's got David Johnson and he's good at running the ball, and he's still got Larry Fitz at least for a season, and the defense isn't bad. It's still got good pieces like Chandler Jones, and as long as Josh Rosen, who I assume he'll start, it's okay to start in this situation. I think a guy like Sam Bradford right away, as everybody's trying to figure out the game, so you're not throwing a bunch of interceptions with Rosen. Or you could just go run, punt like I like to. It's whatever.
Especially because the sliders are going to be be kind of tweaked early on. So you might be right. It might be easier just to start Bradford, even though Rosen would be the smarter start for development because of the way Madden works. But I think you're right about at least early on until the sliders get squared away and they learn the game and how the breaks work on passing the ball. I think you're right. I didn't touch much on the Seahawks team overall, but at least on the defensive side, they did lose a bunch of pieces there with Richard Sherman and Bennett.
But he does have the Griffin Bros.
Who's that?
He has the Griffin Bros, Shaquille and Shaquem.
Well, he does. He has the guy with one hand.
This is correct.
But he's fast. I will give him that.
Oh, he's going to be total cheese. I'm ready for
but
it.
The Seahawks defense won't be what it was in the past. I don't see them being as dominant with losing a few pieces. And like I said, I'm more worried about offensive line. I feel like I haven't played a lot of Madden this year, but I feel like offensive line is actually going to matter. And if I'm right in that assessment and that assumption, I guess I should say, Seahawks are going to struggle. I do think down the line he's going to be a contender, though. The Seahawks will be a contender.
Moving on from the West, we will stay actually West to the other side of the conference in what I like to call the AFC worst. Most people call it the West. I call it the worst. Why? Because they're all garbage. Even the people I don't know. You have teams like the Denver Broncos, the Oakland Raiders, the Chiefs, and the Chargers of San Diego / Los Angeles, wherever you want to talk about them. I see the division going basically in that order. I think Otto and his defense with his pass rush will be able to carry him for a little bit as he tries to find a new running back to ice skate around the field. I think the Raiders took a big hit in the ratings department, and it's going to be a little difficult for Sage to be able to put up the numbers he was putting up with them before, especially if he keeps trying to left trigger juke in the backfield. And then you got Captain Rollout himself, Man of Steel, on the Chiefs, which is basically the perfectly designed team for someone like him. And then on what I actually think is the best team in Madden in the division, you have Shuck, who's actually a Chargers fan. I didn't know those still existed. So hopefully he can take that team and make everybody else not win because they all suck.
That's terrible. I like the Chargers. I do like the Chargers team, though. I think you are right. They might be one of the better teams in that division. I know their cornerbacks are good. They have some good, with Phillip Rivers, and on offense we have Rivers, and they have Melvin Gordon and Keenan Allen,
Chris Davis,
and they have a tight end too. Don't they have who's the tight end there? Hunter Henry. I know he's hurt in real life, but he's there. He should be there in the game.
Right.
I know RFF did mention something about possibly having pre-existing injuries on, and that would be a blow to a team like that. I agree with the Broncos. I haven't seen the Raiders' ratings. I don't know much about how much of a drop they would have taken. I know they still have Khalil Mack, and I doubt he took a big hit in his rating. I don't know how the secondary looks. Marshawn Lynch, is Lynch still there?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, well, he's just going to be a bowling ball. He's not much of a real. I don't know, maybe he's a real threat. I don't know. It depends on how running backs are going to play once Madden and EA gets this running game thing straightened out and all the patches in there. I like the Chiefs team. I like Mahomes as a young quarterback. He can move. He can throw the ball. He got a real strong arm. The defense should be decent. I know that they lost Marcus Peters, but I don't know much about the last two teams there, the Chargers and the Chiefs, about their users at least. I don't know. I agree. I think the Broncos win that division. They still have the strongest defense, even though they lost Talib. They still have Von Miller on the defense, and that's going to be an issue for. I don't believe any. Well, maybe the Chiefs, but I don't know if any of the other teams have a really good offensive line to stop somebody with Miller's caliber. And you add in Case Keenum, who should get a good ratings bump with Demaryius Thomas catching the ball there. Yeah, I can see the Broncos taking that division. So we'll go ahead and move on to the AFC East here. So in the East, I keep having this issue where there's quite a few guys I don't know much about, but with Bumble here with the Patriots and Reality's Proof with the Dolphins. So teams like that, it ends up being that I just kind of go with the overall team's talent, and I think we can agree that the Dolphins have probably the worst team in that division. They did lose Jarvis Landry. They still have Tannehill as their quarterback. They lost Ndamukong Suh. Just the overall team's not going to be great. And without knowing much about reality's proof, I'm going to have him finishing at the bottom of the division, at least until he gets a new quarterback and some more weapons at wide receiver. I do think they still have, what's the guy's name? Devontae Parker?
Yes, and Kenny Stills.
And Kenny Stills. Stills is getting up there too. But Parker should be decent. So, losing Landry is going to be still going to, you're going to feel that. You don't lose a receiver that good in Madden and not feel it. I do feel that really top tier receivers make a difference. I don't think you need more than one of them, but when you have one, it makes a difference. And not having one, it's going to hurt that team when you have a quarterback like Tannehill who won't be incredibly accurate, doesn't have a really strong arm, and he's somewhat mobile. He's also kind of old now. He's like 30 years old, I believe. So if I'm the Dolphins, I don't know if I'm trying to win season one. I'm always trying to win, but I think you kind of have to temper your expectations and understand where your team's at. So I'm just gonna jump straight to the top there. I have the New York Jets at number 1 in the division. Roquler, RKO, whatever his name's gonna be. I know the team's decent. He's gonna have Darnold out there. I see him in the chat already. He's playing. He's putting in a bunch of hours playing the game. I think he's one that has the game, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct.
So he's putting in some serious time there, and that Jets team's gonna be pretty good. They had a decent season last year without a quarterback. So I believe they're.
How dare you say that about Josh McCown?
Well, I watched them. Not to get too far off track here, but when the Jets played the Saints, McCown was way off, man. If they didn't have a real quarterback, they would have beat the Saints last year without a doubt. He missed open guys, and I do like McCown. He's just not a starting quarterback.
It doesn't matter how good of a quarterback you are if you're that nice of a person.
It's fair enough, but he's a good guy. We'll give him that. But I imagine Sam Darnold starting here. I don't think it's gonna be Teddy Bridgewater as the starter. I know same as in the Rosen situation, but this is even more so. I would start Darnold day one because I believe Darnold, without looking at ratings, he's probably better than Rosen is to start out, or right on par with Rosen. Maybe Rosen's more accurate, but I know from last year, Kohler here, RKO. I don't know what I should call him. We'll just call him RKO. I know from last year he threw the ball really well. He used A.J. McCarron and did some serious damage with McCarron. So I imagine with a real quarterback like Darnold's gonna be, he's gonna do some serious damage. And they didn't lose much on defense. They still have Leonard Williams on there. They have what's his name? Adams. Is that his name? In the secondary. So the defense is still there. Looking at the Patriots team with Bumble, I know Bumble's a decent user, but I don't know much about the Patriots team. I don't think they have too many stars, and I think in Madden you need them here and there. I know they lost a really good offensive lineman. They drafted a young running back. Not sure how he's going to pan out season one. Your best receiver, who might have been Brandon Cooks, was traded. You still have Edelman, but how effective is he really going to be as a small receiver? I know he's going to be older. He should be slower in the game now. You still have Gronk, I guess. That's a very good weapon to have. And you still have Brady, but it's only one season. So if I'm the Patriots, I think I try to go all in. Maybe I'll make some trades to try to win now. Because once you lose Brady and Gronk, I think that's two huge holes you have to fill. And that's almost impossible. Even in Madden, that's tough to do. On defense, you still have Hightower there. He still should be great for that team. And Palmer and the Bills. We'll go, haven't talked about him yet, but I played Palmer I think twice in one season last year. He was like the Dolphins one week and like the Redskins the next. There was something crazy like that where he switched teams. Yeah. And he's pretty decent. I don't know how Josh Allen's going to work out. I imagine that's going to be the starter day one, but
they just picked up a wide receiver, by the way, in real life. So
who'd they pick up?
Corey fucking Coleman. That's who.
Okay, that's better than what they had, I'm sure. They still have Kelvin Benjamin, who's just a big tight end and wide receiver. I don't know much about the Bills team. You do have Shady McCoy there. It seems like these scat backs are going to be kind of popular. I keep seeing a lot about them. Where last year I think you wanted the trucking backs, even though the scat backs were the ones with the overpowered juke. They had the whole air truck thing last year. So guys like Derrick Henry out of Tennessee was just ridiculous. Bills defense should still be decent. I don't see much drop off there from what I've seen at least. So Palmer's a solid user. I don't think he's going to take over RKO. I think RKO is going to kind of win that division early on. It's going to be a pretty good season for him, especially with all the time he's putting in right now.
Oh, it's so much time. I'm pretty sure he's been playing the game for what equates to like 3 months now for a regular person.
It seems like it.
But the Bills are going to be a much better team in Madden than they are in real life because they're going to be a complete dumpster fire in real life.
Well, in Madden you can develop Josh Allen. In real life, you probably can't.
But I agree with RKO, Randall Keith Orton, R Pepsi, whatever you want to call him. Taking the division with the Jets. The Jets have a solid defense. He's got good enough Madden wide receivers. They're fast and tall. And I think he's got Isaiah Crowell in the backfield, I believe, along with some others. But that defense is going to carry him because, as you said, he's proven he doesn't really need a quarterback to show that he can win games.
Neither wide receivers. I don't remember him having dominant wide receivers with the Cardinals last year.
I don't even remember. Maybe not dominant, but like a guy like John Brown is kind of like a guy like Robbie Anderson in Madden, where he's just tall and fast.
Right.
And sometimes that's all you need. But moving on from the NFC East, we move on to the home of my co-host, the NFC South. And before I get started on the teams that actually matter, I have to say this. J-Shock, baby, no, what are you doing? Why are you there? This is a terrible idea. I feel really bad that I have to say this, but I don't think you're going to win a division game all cycle. True story.
Not even one game?
No, like in the division is what I'm saying.
I agree. No, I understand.
Oh, did you just say you agree that he's not? Because that's you throwing shade now, not me.
That must have been a Freudian.
I just transferred my shade to you. That's how that works.
That was a Freudian slip for sure. Because I did not mean to say that.
But as it relates to the actual division, I'm putting up at the top everybody's favorite Z-Car. Yeah, my boy, former Cat Bro with the Carolina Panthers and the cheat code that is Luke Kuechly. In second place, kind of almost first place, probably might actually finish in that position, is my co-host Rich with the Saints, who I don't know ratings-wise. You're going to have to tell me if they got cheated out a little bit or...
They did, slightly. I think the defense got cheated out a little bit.
And always contending, rarely winning actual Super Bowls that count, the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons as a team in Madden are just good and have been good for years now. You could take an above-average user and they could contend. You could take a below-average user like they have now and they could contend.
Well, that's not fair. I mean, he seems to contend every year with his team. He's a good user.
Yeah, but he has a good team every year, so how do you know if he's good?
That's a fair point.
But then I have also J-Shock at the way as far in the bottom with a not terrible team, I guess. He's got a good defensive line. He's got a good Madden quarterback because in Madden you can't sexually assault people. He's got Mike Evans and other pieces around. But if he can return to the form that is Madden 17 J-Shock that I hear so much about, that I really want to meet, he might be able to do something. If he's Madden 18 J-Shock, then it's not going to be good.
I got to say, though, I'm surprised you have the Panthers finishing at the top of this division, especially with the track record that greatness has with the Falcons. I don't know how much drop-off the Falcons are having from last year to this year, but that's tough, man. That's a bold statement to put the Panthers up there. And then to have me finishing second above greatness, who I haven't finished ahead of greatness one time. Granted, I came close our last season of the cycle for Madden 18, but that's a bold statement. So I'm going to have the Falcons finishing at the top. I can't go against what I've seen in the past and what at least from my experience with the guy. I'm still going to have the Falcons finishing at the top, and I'm going to put myself still finishing second in the division. I hate to sound and come off any kind of arrogant or overly confident, but just because the Saints team is pretty good. I do feel like they got slighted just a little bit on defense, but you still have a very strong Lattimore. I still have my second and third cornerbacks are more than decent. Then you add in Cam Jordan, and I don't even have to talk about the offense. We know about Breeze and Kamara and Ingram and Thomas and all those guys. So I'm gonna have the Panthers finishing right under there. I did play Z-Car once last season when he was the Niners, and I believe he did beat me. So that's going to be kind of a tough matchup for me. I could end up losing that game. The Panthers are a good team, and I'm going to agree with you on J-Shock and the Buccaneers. J-Shock had it rough last year. I did hear – to me, I remember playing him in Madden 17, and he was one of the better users. And last year, he had kind of a drop-off. So maybe this year he returns to that form, and he ends up being a real contender in the division. We just didn't see it last year with the Bengals. So I'm going to put the Falcons at the top there. I'm going to have to disagree on your take there.
I put it this way. The reason I have Z-Car at the top of the division is because he's the only person in the division that I actually like.
Well, that's fair enough, too. And a slap in the face. So I'll take it. Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the NFC East, who's my co-host's division here. Really, I'm going to start out with the only team that's even worth talking about, and that's the Philadelphia Eagles in public.
What?
Yeah.
You're supposed to say the Giants.
No. We're going to go with public and the Eagles because he's not only going to win this division, he's going to win it by like week 5. He's going to take this division.
That's not even possible!
He's going to take this division so early, he's going to get bored. It's going to be like the Cavaliers and the Warriors before the Christmas break. Why even play a game before the playoffs? That's what's going to happen here because that Eagles team is stacked everywhere you look, just like the Rams. They're stacked, and then you add in a user like Public, who's another one that's putting in some serious time right out the gate, and he was very strong at the end of the year last year, and I believe this is his team, the Philadelphia Eagles, so he'll have a little more pride in what he's doing. So, yes, I think without a doubt Public wins this division, and it's not even close. The next 3 teams you can put in the same category, I believe. I think the Giants, Cowboys, and Redskins are about evenly matched. I don't know much about Bring Jimmy Back or Ace whosoever. In fact, I know nothing about him. I've seen Bring Jimmy Back around. I've played a lot of Madden against HGR, Mike. We've played a lot of games in my league. In this league, we played test games. We're testing out sliders and testing out game mode. So he's not a bad user. I think his team, depending on how Eli plays for him and how running the ball is going to work with that Giants team, he could finish second in the division. I would probably go with the Cowboys second in the division, mostly because they do have Zeke, they do have Dak, they do have Cole Beasley, who should be good in the game. The defense should be improved on all in the front 7 and in the backfield, the back secondary. I mean, Redskins, their wide receivers should be decent. They did lose Kirk Cousins. Unlike most guys, I feel like Alex Smith is going to be a downgrade, especially in Madden, because he does have the weak arm. And I believe Cousins with the stronger arm, that is an advantage in Madden, even though Smith may be a slightly more accurate, maybe a little more mobile. But Cousins was younger with the better arm, in my opinion. I preferred Kirk Cousins. So I think you'll see a drop-off there. Josh Norman is old, beyond old by now. Yeah, he's had a couple down seasons in Washington, and on that defense, he's not going to get much help from Breland, who I don't think is going to be too good. I don't remember them having too great of a safety there or front 7. So, I would have the Redskins finishing at the bottom with the Eagles at the top.
First off, I would just like to say I'm offended in your lack of faith in me. I at least put you at second in a division. You put me at tied for last.
I have you at
That's
second.
That's what you just said.
I have you at contending for second. We'll go with that.
Tied for last is basically what you said. First off, it's not physically possible to win a division by week 5. Let's point that out. Secondly, I'm going to point out I am 1-0 versus Public in real life. Undefeated. So there's that. The Eagles are probably going to win this division.
But was that a sim season or was that an actual user game?
That was a user game. I beat him with the Browns even.
And he
so
played.
that.
And he played the game, right? I'm just making sure we get this straight.
What are you trying to say here?
I'm just making sure it wasn't a CPU game that you got a forced win on, and you're taking that as credit here.
Oh, wow. I'm hurt a little bit in my pride area. But, yeah, the Eagles are probably going to win the division every year, including sim years. Fun. This is going to be great for me. It's whatever. The Cowboys. Good team. Great overalls. Figure it out. I'm a little higher on the Redskins as a Madden team. I don't know anything about Ace, who, whatever it is. But Redskins have a good offensive line. They get Goose or Juice or whatever his name is. That
Geis?
They got. What?
Geis? Jarius Geis?
Why is it spelled like juice with a G?
Because it's spelled like Geis.
I don't want your facts and shit getting in the way of my argument. Back to what I was saying. He's got good wide receivers. Alex Smith will be okay. That contract's probably going to suck. But defensively, probably not that great. So he's got to work on that. Hopefully, every team in my division sucks. Let's just say that. Including me. I mean, let's go for that 7-9 shit again.
It's the teams in your division is actually one of the stronger divisions team-wise. I think my division, NFC South, is in the same boat. It's a strong division team-wise. The users, I just feel like Publix, he's a slight notch above the rest with a team that's above the rest. That's gonna be the issue. So maybe he gets tired of playing Madden after season 1 or 2 and he leaves, and you get lucky. You never know.
You know what? I feel like we just said a lot of words, and we should go back and figure out what they all meant. So, I'm going to ask you, point blank, who do you have in the AFC Championship game? Throw it out.
Oh, AFC Championship game. I have the Texans playing the New York Jets.
What?
Yep. I have to think RKO, and that given his track record and how much time he's putting in, he's going to come out the gate hot, and he's going to make it. He's going to make it to the championship game there. And same with RFF. I think he's putting in some time right now. He's going to have a fast start because he knows so much about the game, not just the game, but game mechanics, along with football. He knows enough, and as long as he can get past Wakanda and early on, I think it's going to be the Texans versus Jets.
How much did RFF pay you to do this podcast?
He didn't pay me anything.
Jesus Christ. I'm going to reject your reality and in turn substitute my own. I have, in the AFC Championship game, the Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Broncos.
Excuse me?
Now,
who was that?
Going forward, who I have winning that matchup is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Because I think it's just a really good team.
So the Jaguars are playing somebody who coughs? Who are they playing?
You didn't hear me? I clearly said Broncos.
The Cleveland Browns? Is that what you said?
No, I didn't. No, I wouldn't say that. It's, a team from Colorado. Let's say that.
Colorado? Okay. Yeah, we'll figure that one out. A team from Colorado. So you have the Jaguars.
Jaguars going to the Super Bowl. So, I have the Jaguars. Who did you have winning?
So, initially, I had the Texans. But I'm going to go ahead and change that to the Jets. I think the Jets are actually going to beat the Texans. I think it's going to be a shootout in the AFC Championship game, and I think RKO is going to come out ahead at the end.
So, we got Jets, we got Jags. Who do you have in the NFC Championship game?
NFC, and I feel like this is the strongest picks I can make. It's going to be Falcons and Eagles in the NFC Championship game. Without a doubt, in my opinion.
Can you, for a minute, take greatness's dick out of your mouth?
Well, it was in my ass all last season, so I got to put it somewhere else.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Who do you have winning the Falcons versus the Eagles?
I'm going to go with the Eagles. I think Public is going to steamroll his way to the NFC Championship game, and I think he's going to come out on top against the Falcons. I think greatness has been in that position a lot, but I think Public's ready to make that step and make it to the Super Bowl in season 1.
See, we are 4 for 4 technically because I have neither of those teams in the championship game. I have, again, a theme here of solid teams making it season 1. I have the Rams versus the Vikings. 2 good defenses, 2 solid offenses, and in that you take a guy, Weapon X, who once won a playoff game, starting his punter at quarterback. I think the Rams are going to make it to the Super Bowl.
So I like those picks. I do like the Rams versus the Vikings. I feel like it'd be a different matchup. It'd be 2 guys I haven't seen that deep. I know they've been deep in the playoffs, but I feel like that's going to be. I feel like it's a good pick. I like the pick. I like yours. I would like to see yours before I'd like to see mine. Even though I'd like to see Public win one, I'd like to see yours. I think it'd be good for parity in the league.
So, Super Bowl matchups. You got Jets versus Eagles in such an awkward East Coast rivalry game, I guess you could say.
Somewhat.
Who you got winning the season 1 Super Bowl?
So, I want to take the Eagles here, but I think the Jets are going to do it. I think RKO has been in that position enough, and I think the experience, at least from what I've seen late last cycle, I think RKO is going to take it from the Eagles, even though I think the Eagles are the better team, and Public may be the better overall user. I think RKO is going to take it. So, Jet.
I think that'd be a really good game. I'd love to see that game. I don't know if they've played each other yet. I know that I've beaten both of them. That's all really that matters.
I think Public's defense is going to be hard to score against because he is a very good defensive-minded guy. And against that offense that RKO runs and the way he runs it, I think it'd be a very good matchup. It can go either way. I don't feel like if it's Jets Eagles to be like bet the house on the Jets. I think it's like 51-49 type situation there.
I don't disagree with that, but I disagree with picks because in my Super Bowl I have the St. Louis Rams of Los Angeles, or if you want to say that backwards, I guess that also works, winning over the Jacksonville Jaguars of London because Weapon X goes from GM of the cycle last year, getting a free copy of Madden because he's a douche, and I had to pay for mine, to Super Bowl champion season 1 with the Rams.
So you think, why are you taking Weapon X over, or I should say, why are you taking the Rams over the Jags? Because I like the Jags in that matchup. I think if Wakanda makes it that far, he's not losing with that Jags team. That defense is going to shut everything down, same as the Rams defense could, but I think Wakanda could be...
So in that scenario, when both defenses are shutting each other down, I take the better offense in Madden, and that's the Rams.
But
You got Brandon Cooks, you got Kupp, you got Todd Gurley. I think Goff is better than Bortles. Who doesn't?
But he has Leonard Fournette.
I would rather have Gurley than Leonard Fournette. But that's just me personally.
Fair enough. I think in that matchup, I think Wakanda's going to have enough of the game under his belt, and he may be, I don't want to say the word, but it'd be a little more of this, and I think he can win that matchup against the Rams. I'm not going to say.
I feel like you're trying to throw shade without throwing shade, and that's not allowed at this show.
I love Wakanda. He's my buddy. I have no issues with Wakanda. I'm just saying, if he makes it that far, he's going to win it. He'll be a little bit better at what he does than the other user he's going to play. That's what I think.
All right, so that concludes our preview, if you will, basically forecasting the future, telling everybody. We don't even need to play Season 1 now. We just told you what's going to happen.
Well, no, because we got 2 different outcomes here. We have 2 completely different AFC and NFC championship games, and then we have 2 completely different Super Bowls with 2 different winners.
Yeah, but mine was right and yours is wrong. That's the only thing that's important.
So in your situation, though, I would need to go 0-17 because if I'm not winning the Super Bowl or not making the playoffs, I might as well finish at the bottom there. Who do you have in the wild card?
In the wild card?
The wild card. Like who's?
Ooh, we didn't even. You want to go back a step?
I want to go back a step. I want to see who we have in the wild card here.
See, My NFC playoffs, I got the Rams of Minnesota at the top, Philly, Carolina below them, and then
No, I know.
in the wild card, New Orleans and Atlanta.
So you have 3 guys from the NFC South making the playoffs.
Yep.
Damn. Okay.
I think team-wise, it's the best division overall, team-wise.
I agree. That's why I said the exact same thing earlier. I think it's the best overall division as far as teams go.
And it will carry its below-average users to the playoffs.
I don't agree with that. But I have... Who do I have in the NFC? I have in the wild card here. I have the Bears and the Saints. I have the Falcons winning it, so I don't have the Panthers making the playoffs, but I have the Bears making it as a wild card behind the Vikings there. For the AFC, though, I have the Browns and Jaguars. So I do have Wakanda making the playoffs at least. I just don't have them winning it. Who do you have in the AFC?
In the AFC, I have Denver. Shit, I forgot to cough. Denver and Jacksonville at the top of the conference. Pittsburgh and Buffalo. Buffalo taking the East. And below them, I have... I don't even remember because I scribbled over it because I was doodling.
Okay, so we don't know who your wild card picks are?
No, I'm a doodler. I'm sorry. You bore me sometimes and I have to start drawing.
It's just useless. Useless. So, that's our Season 1 preview. We don't really have much more to talk about outside of that. You want to say anything about the game in general? I know there's some patch that you guys are talking about. To me, Thursday when I was playing the game and Friday I was running in mud when I get the handoff, and I don't feel like I've seen that today. Have you noticed anything like that?
I didn't get that at all. What I do need patch though is I have a toss play out of shotgun, and every time I run it, it gets snapped 30 yards into the backfield. So
really?
It'd be great if that would stop happening.
So you are seeing glitches then?
Oh, there's a shit ton of glitches, man.
And is this like head to head or this is offline?
Head to head.
See, I haven't played any head to head, so I haven't experienced any of that.
Maybe it's a comp thing. That would be good. Fuck those guys.
Hmm.
But as it relates to the game, I think it's... I don't know. It's Madden. What more can you say?
Do you find it's better than last year's version?
Yeah. I don't think they're... Besides Madden 2009, which is like literally the garbage bullshit, I don't think it's ever like gone back that far from the previous year.
I agree. I do think the physics of this game is better than last year. And I think every year you're seeing better physics. And that's really what needs to be kind of drawn out. What do you think about the new progression system that they have?
I love it because it's not me spending all the XP I want into block shedding or whatever the fuck I want and just getting OP at one thing.
I agree with that 100%, man. I like it. I like the idea of it. I know it looks weird whenever you add that 1 point and you get all these different attribute upgrades, and some of them don't make sense. You're like, well, why would you give me this? Give me pursuit when I'm upgrading blocking or something dumb like that. I know it's kind of random, but I do like that part. I do like that you can't just save up all these points, all this XP, and then dump it on speed to up it by 1 at the end of the season. Because honestly, I thought that was the dumbest shit that guys would do, especially in a league that had an 80 speed threshold.
Are you saying that somebody possibly would spend 20,000 XP on like 1 agility point? Nobody would be that stupid.
Nobody would, right? Or 1 speed to go from 96 to 97. I mean, come on, man. 96 wasn't fast enough for you. I think this helps. This doesn't just help overall, like for to even out the progression. I think it helps the overall league because I think progression is going to be a little bit easier to figure out. Where if a guy decides to quit the league and somebody joins and they see that they dump all their XP on, zone coverage and no awareness or anything else, that guy might not be, and the guy that joins would prefer to have it on awareness or on play rec. So this kind of prevents that from happening because you're just going to put it on zone, but it's going to give you some play rec, it's going to give you some awareness, whatever else comes into play there.
I think the key is on awareness and things like that, because now when it comes to free agency and re-signing, you can't have your quarterback with low awareness, a.k.a. low overall, a.k.a. a cheaper deal.
Exactly. You're not going to have a quarterback with 91 accuracy across the board and 72 awareness, and his overall is only like 80. And then he signs for $10 million a year or $8 million a year. Right. So I do like that part of it. But that's the only major change that I've seen. I haven't made it to a draft yet, but looking at the scouting, I don't think it's going to really be any different. Have you seen a draft?
No, it's not. I mean, the draft in itself is viewing wise is different, but eventually it's going to be something that's not that important. Overall game wise, progression is pretty much it. And yeah, that kind of sucks. But I can't make a video game, so I'm just going to deal with what I got.
Well, I mean, as long as the game changes, and it did, you can't play this year's game and say this feels like Madden 18, because it doesn't. There is a difference to it. And like I said, the player physics for sure, there's a difference. I don't know what more, from season to season, I wouldn't want to see much more change than what we saw now, because at least for me, I don't want a whole new overhauled franchise mode to where you have to relearn everything from training to progression to the scouting to the combine, however that would work, to the draft. It would be a lot to learn in one season. So I don't mind seeing one thing being changed at a time. Now, I would also prefer if what they would do is they would do like on release day, we have this new progression system, and then maybe in October or November we get a new scouting system, and then maybe in February we get a new free agency system or something. I wouldn't mind that, to where we kind of roll it out slowly so everything changes, the game stays a little fresh for us, and it doesn't get stale as quick.
As long as I can go 7-9 every year, the game's fine.
And that shouldn't be a problem for you. 7-9 should be definitely achievable. If that's your goal, I think you're going to hit that goal often. I think you should aim a little bit higher, though, even though you're in the same division as the Eagles.
So like 7-8-1?
7-8-1, yeah, that'll work.
All right.
That may make the playoffs, man. You never know. All right, I think that's going to do it. I don't think this podcast is too long, but we've kind of drug it on toward the end here, talking about the game. You have anything you want to add at all?
I need a cigarette.
You need a cigarette. I need some water, man. I've been all this talking.
I'm drinking Monster. It's okay.
So that's going to do it for our first show here. Again, this is the Awfully Good Podcast. I believe the title is actually Rich and Mike's Awfully Good Podcast. It could be the Awfully Good Podcast with Rich and Mike. Either way, it works. That doesn't mean Rich and Mike will always be on the show. If anybody else wants to be on, just let us know. You can join with us. We can do up to 8 people, which we will never do 8 people at one time, but it's an option. If you want to be on with Mike, you can be just you and Mike. It can be just me and you. It can be just you and your buddy, and me and Mike want to be on the show. That's fine with us too. Just let us know.
Unless your name is Keller, then I won't be on the show.
That's fair enough too. Which I don't know why Keller would want to be on a podcast for a league that he's not even in. It wouldn't make much.
Now you're throwing shit. Why you keep stealing my shade, bro? I'm leaving. I'm out.
All right, guys. That's going to be it. So good luck this season. I hope our guys stay healthy, and I hope we make all the right draft picks in the first draft, because that's my favorite part of this thing is the draft. So until next time, guys. Talk to you later.